Hi everyone, my name's Laura and I'm going to tell you my experience as a language learner. Hope you enjoy it. Well, I will start from the beginning. First of all, I was born in Valladolid, which is a monolingual city and the place where all my family is from. This means that I grew up in a completely monolingual context. When I was very little, my family and I moved to a little town in another province. But this didn't change my situation a lot, because it was a monolingual place too. Since I was born until I was 5 years old, I have never heard English in an academic context. I just heard English listening to some music at home with my parents. Well, maybe listening to music at home was not the only option. My parents were worried about English for my future, so they provided me of some films and tales. I think they were right doing this because I really enjoyed them. Later on, at the age of 6, my family and I moved to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Here is where I started my introduction to English. When we arrived, my parents decided us, my sister and I, to go to an American bilingual school. In that moment, I got really scared because I didn't know English and I will have to communicate in that language. Before starting the course, I went to a summer camp in my school to start having some contact with the language. In this summer camp, we did activities and played different kinds of games, but all of them were in English. That's why I learned by doing. At the beginning, I remember I felt really nervous because I didn't understand anything. But as days passed, I became more confident when I realized that I was starting to understand some things. It also helped me the fact that I was an extrovert child and I didn't have problems to adapt myself to different situations. When the course began, I initiated a new experience due to the fact that I was going to study in a bilingual school. The way of having class was not so different compared to the Spanish educational system, but the bigger change was that I had half of the classes in English and the other half were in Spanish. For that reason, we needed 2 teachers, one per language, and the way of distributing the classes was the following one. For example, if on Mondays a science class was taught in English, next science class will be in Spanish, continuing the lesson done the day before. Thanks to these 3 years in a bilingual school with native speakers, I acquired the real pronunciation of American English. It also made me think in English the most part of the day, so I'm not used to do translations into Spanish. When I was 9 years old, my family and I moved back to Spain again. On this occasion, we started living in Valencia. Here, I added a new experience on learning languages because of the introduction of Valencian in my life. Changes came when the course started. English classes at school were not interesting because my mates had begun to study English later than me. As I was boarding in English class at school and my parents wanted me to improve my English, we looked for an academy. The first academy I went to was nice. We were groups of 3 people and we could talk well, but they weren't focused on that. The dynamic of the class was following an activity book and correcting homework. For me, this wasn't a good methodology because I have never studied English focused on grammar. A year later, we founded a new academy where the students were grouped by their level of English. The way of learning was simple. At the beginning of the class, the teacher provoked natural conversations between the students, and later, the class followed activities provided by the teacher. After a few years without going to the academy, at the age of 17, I got the first certificate of English. Now, I'm studying to get the certificate in advanced English, and I'm listening to music in English and watching my favorite series in original version for getting this. Bye! See you soon!
Created using Powtoon.